St. Charles High School has developed something of a habit. The Saints have won 3 girls' high school soccer championships in each of the last 3 even-numbered years, the last in 1994 over Naperville Central. Last year, the trophy to Palatine High School, the Pirate girls finishing off a soccer double for their school, the boys having won the previous fall. Palatine is gone, and in 1996, yes, it is, St. Charles. But to go for another, they've got to get through a very determined bunch of Eagles from Sandburg High School. Welcome into a rain-swept Conant High School in Hoffman Estates. Brian Davis along with Ed Vicinic, St. Charles and Sandburg. The Saints becoming, well, the stuff of which legacies are made. Although when you take a look at the Sandburg Eagles, they've got something to prove, Ed Vicinic. They are plowing new ground every time they take the field.
You're right, Brian. Pick your cliche, David and Goliath, the Cinderella story. You know, I might be getting a little over-dramatic, but this is a team that is surprising a lot of people, and they're going up against a team that has been here before and a senior-laden team as well.
This is the first time that a team from the southern suburbs has come in and won even one game here in the state tournament. The Sandburg Eagles also definitely taking the tight road to the championship into this game. As a matter of fact, Ed, they've won their 2 games here at the tournament by shootout over New Trier and then over Libertyville in a sudden death shootout in the semifinal this morning.
And that leads us right into some of our key players with Sandburg. One is their goalkeeper, Katie Bull. You mentioned the shootouts. Only a sophomore, one of 5 that are starters on the Sandburg side. She has come up big, especially in the second half against Libertyville in the semifinals. Up front, look for Katie Hertz, another sophomore. Look at her goal totals, assist totals. She is the one that makes it happen up front. A very exciting player for Sandburg.
Sandburg is a school that is possessed with a great deal of depth when it comes to scoring. You want to talk about firepower, some of the greatest in the state of Illinois on the St. Charles side. Let's start the story with Laurie Seidel. 40 goals so far this season to go along with 11 assists. St. Charles having come into this with a victory in the semifinal over Granite City. As a matter of fact, it was Seidel with both goals in the semifinal. They beat Palatine in the quarters.
Yeah, and Laurie Seidel, you're going to have fun watching her. She's only a junior, a school record 40 goals, 10 assists. She is not only very good technically, she's an exciting player. She has confidence, and she can put the ball in the goal. Defensively, the St. Charles Saints have racked up 20 shutouts this season. In addition to their goalkeeper, their sweeper, Anna Marinaccio, is a big key. She will do a lot of restarts from the midfield. She's very confident on the ball, and she'll start a lot of the play out of the back for St. Charles.
3 All-Staters here in this game, as a matter of fact. You look at Seidel, you look at Marinaccio, you look at Hertz from Sandburg. This is a game that is really going to be affected, though, by the weather, and you've got to figure, Ed, that that's going to favor Sandburg.
Well, you got to, because the skill, the technique on the St. Charles side, a lot of younger players with Sandburg. The field conditions are going to even things out, so who knows, in a mess like this, ball skipping around, a lot of things can happen.
Kickoff is approaching here at Conant High School. Stand by. We'll have all the action for you coming up next. It's the 1996 IHSA Girls Soccer Championship from Sports Channel. We are just about underway. Kickoff, and the field, as you can see, is soaked. Brian Davis and Ed Vicinic. Sandburg wearing the home white and playing to your left, defending the goal to your left, St. Charles in the visitors black. And they are going to the right side of the field. Taking a look at the starting lineups, we talked about Katie Hertz with 12 goals and 31 assists. She is augmented by Megan Nessie with 11 goals. Also with a double-figure scoring production here in the regular season, Marissa Zapko with 10 goals, and Marissa Bilski also with 10 goals. Then taking a look at Naperville, or take that back, taking a look at St. Charles. Well, in the goal, there's Katie Bull. Katie Bull, the goalkeeper, the sophomore.
She's come up big throughout this tournament for the Sandburg Eagles.
Now as the ball is put back into play by freshman defender Jamie Bartkowiak, let's take a look at St. Charles starting lineup. We talked a lot about Laurie Seidel. How about Stephanie Cox with 17 goals and 14 assists on the season? Aaron Lowe, the third leading scorer for the Saints, the senior forward with 12 goals and 10 assists here in the season. On the throw-in, there's a crossing pass and a shot and a save right off the bat as Bowl comes up big. As St. Charles works the goal, packing the box, and down at the other end, Laurel Rowland, the junior keeper for the Saints, will be expecting some business here presently.
One of the cameras here at Conan High School, due to the rain, has kind of petered out on us a bit, so bear with us as we try and get through the rain here. It's affected a lot of things other than just the play.
Stoppage in play, the ball going over to Sandburg High School on the whistle.
You know, these kind of games, Brian, not a whole lot of fun for the fans and those that don't play, but if you're out on the field, this is some of the most enjoyable weather you can play in.
Katie Hertz with a strong kick in the penalty area, and now here is Laurel Rowland diving out as Megan Nessie charges in. Megan Nessie, the sophomore midfielder, it's a miracle, Ed, that she's even out on the field. Nessie suffering a severely bruised rib cage. She's wearing a flak jacket in this game. Injury is a big part of the story for Sandburg.
Well, Sandburg as a whole, a beat-up team, but they've got some key people that are nursing some pretty big injuries. You mentioned Nessie. Number 5, Marissa Belsky, has a hole in her hamstring, we've been told, and that happened 3 or 4 games ago. She's gutting it out right now. And also hurting is Marissa Zapka, who they think has a broken shin, but she refuses to get it x-rayed until after this tournament is over, and that's just the bigger injury.
Let's take a look at the officiating crew here today. Kenneth Marrow working the line along with Ed Rubin. Al Klenitis is the referee. No, Kenneth Marrow is your referee, and the other guy's the linesman. Sorry about that. You know, they rotate here. It's not like hockey where you've got one referee in the set job and then the 2 linesmen who are always working that. But there is your officiating crew as once again St. Charles gains possession. And game conditions, well, there you see it right there, 61 degrees, and it has been raining sometimes torrentially. Anna Marinaccio, this is a young woman who has got a very strong leg, and on kicks like this, she can be extremely dangerous. She had a big assist on a goal in the super sectional victory over Glenbard West. Marinaccio just booming the ball from 45 yards out. She's looking at about a 30-yard free kick here in this situation.
I'm really surprised Sandburg only has 2 people in the wall right now.
And that shot, with a shot like that, that shot is wide. St. Charles coming into this game again 27-1. The Saints have won 24 consecutive after their only loss of the season in the 4th game of the year to Naperville Central. Again, 20 shutouts, including 2 8-game shutout streaks. As far as the Eagles from Sandburg, 20-2 after back-to-back 1-0 losses, first to Lincoln Way and then Lyons Township. They have run 11 consecutive victories, again, including the 2 in the shootout here at the state tournament. On the far side, that's Becky Myers for St. Charles. The ball out of bounds to the Saints.
Both of the coaches in this state final game are in their 2nd year. Joe Moreau for the St. Charles Saints and Peter Fallenweider.
And a collision at the box, and we will have a corner kick for St. Charles. A very dangerous team on the corners. Joe Moreau, as a matter of fact, estimates that of all the goals that they've scored, and they've been plenty productive, about 70% have come in dead ball situations, and corner kicks being a big part of that. Sonia Anderson, the senior midfielder, takes a look, puts it into play. The ball gets past everybody on this wet field. This is Myers. Then Aaron Lowe. The ball taken away and brought back out by Marissa Belsky. But again, that good defensive pressure as 2 Saints defenders come in, kick the ball back to midfield. Katie Hertz takes a look, can't hold on to it. This is Marcy Zapka. Zapka marked by Myers. The pass back to Belsky. She's going to play a little keep away, but now marked by Laurie Seidel. Seidel sliding the ball out of bounds.
It's the right hamstring of Marissa Belsky, number 6, or make that number 5, who was just walking out of your picture, and she's being subbed for right now. There's a look at Belsky. She's got some sweet moves, and like we said, she's not operating at 100%. Only a junior. She goes off, and another injured player comes on the field. I believe it was number 3 who came on for Sandburg, Megan Nessie, who's wearing a flak jacket.
The throw in by Megan Hurley for Sandburg. Now she gets the head on it again. The ball on the St. Charles side of the field as Nessie back to freshman defender Amy McMahon, who was just called up a couple of weeks ago from the Eagles sophomore team by Peter Follenweider, who says, hey, you know, I've got a couple of players here that I had no idea what they could do, but we really needed to put them into the action, and they have responded very well. Amy McMahon is particularly a player. She's got some size, and she's got some toughness. Follenweider very high in his praise of her when we talked to him after the semifinal this morning. The play back to midfield now. Sonia Anderson racing to cut it off for St. Charles, but the race is on with Marcy Sapka. Sapka in the penalty box, but the ball is kicked away by Anna Marinaccio for St. Charles.
Well, there's one of the great things that Marinaccio does is she reads the play so well, got over, helped defensively, read the play, took the angle, and helped out her defender who is beaten on the play.
Inbound play, Jean Gerke into the box, had her on it to the top of the box in the half circle. The ball is kicked away by Stephanie Cox. Now Bartkowiak, correct that, sorry about that. I knew I was going to do it. Jamie Bartkowiak for the Sandburg Eagles. Ball out of bounds on the far side, possession to St. Charles. Becky Myers with the throw-in.
Bartkowiak is another story for the Sandburg Eagles, only a freshman at the sweeper spot. Normally you want somebody who's more experienced back there, and actually Sandburg had planned to do that at the beginning of the season, but the girl they wanted to stick back there at a sweeper spot had some injuries, and they just put Bartkowiak back there, and she's been a very steady member of the defense since then.
Laurie Seidel double team. She still manages to get the pass down low to Erin Lowe. Erin Lowe marked there nicely, though, by the sophomore fullback Megan Hurley.
Megan Hurley, one of the 2 markers for Sandburg. There, she and Lindsay Rogers have done a good job.
Anderson, a crossing pass into the box. Some heavy traffic in front. Katie Bowl will come out, and she'll fall on it as Erin Lowe charges in from the left side. So Katie Bowl already in the opening not quite 10 minutes of this soccer game. Matter of fact, not quite 9 minutes. Katie Bowl has been put to the test 2 or 3 times.
And I think it's real important for the forwards on both sides, Erin Lowe and Laura Seidel for the Saints, and Katie Hertz and Mary Volk up front, to follow every shot and every ball that goes near the goal. The goalkeepers aren't going to be as sure-handed as they normally would. The ball's going to take some goofy, skippy hops on you. So just keep charging the goal. A lot of times it'll present yourself with a good opportunity to knock in one that's just rolling without anybody on it.
Now the throw in. Hertz. Marked well. Marissa Zapka comes up with it, but then for St. Charles, Jessica Redden to midfield. This is Mary Volk, one of the 3 captains for the Sandburg Eagles, the senior midfielder. Ball knocked out of bounds on the far side, goes to St. Charles.
We haven't seen really Stephanie Cox put a stamp on this game yet. She's the center midfielder, one of the 2 midfielders in the middle for St. Charles. A very strong player, a junior. She gives a lot of balls up front to Laura Seidel and Erin Lowe, and controls the midfield for the Saints.
A substitution by Follenweider, the coach for Sandburg. He has brought in his senior wingback Michelle Durack, who scored late in regulation, then got the winner in the semifinal shootout against Libertyville in the semifinal this morning. As St. Charles works the ball, this is Lowe. She is marked by Volk. Passes it back to her goalkeeper, Katie Bowl. So the Eagles start the play again. Playing it cautiously here, as you would expect that they would. St. Charles so solid defensively, it's just very difficult with that swarming style of play, Ed, to get a whole lot going. You really got to work hard to put it into the open spaces.
And the other thing I think we got to think about here is I'm sure a lot of these girls don't have multiple pairs of boots where, you know, for weather like this, you want the screw-ins, the longer studs that are going to grab a little bit. So the footing, obviously, with weather conditions like this, is going to be a tough thing to watch. And you know, Brian, something something that we haven't talked about. This field really wasn't in good shape when it was dried. There's a lot of patchiness to it, so you're not going to get a true roll on the ball, and that's something else that I think is going to favor Sandburg. And I don't want you to get the idea that we're saying Sandburg has no skill, but of these two teams, the Saints definitely the more skilled team.
Off the contact between Durack and Redden, Bartkowiak puts it into play for Sandburg. On the far side, Mary Volk. She's marked by Julie Atkakaitis, freshman midfielder who on the season 8 goals and 10 assists. She is also very strong defensively. I've had a chance to see the Saints now. This is the 4th game that they've played in the last 4 days. Atkakaitis has been a strong player. Now on the charge for St. Charles, that's Lori Seidel. She's not going to get there. The ball put out of play by Jamie Bartkowiak.
And a good instinctive read from the sweeper Bartkowiak. So I'd slip on by Seidel, and she got over there quickly to knock it out of play.
Low into the box, and now Bull coming out and makes contact there with Seidel as she comes sliding in.
I think that was a good indication of the type of nose for the goal that Lori Seidel has. You know, you can get players with skill, Brian, who don't finish all the time. There are some players who know how to put the ball in the goal, and it's just a natural thing, something you can't teach. But Lori Seidel has them both. She knows where to be, when to be there, and she's got the touch to do some magical things in the box.
There have been times when her coach, Joe Moreau, actually thought, now you wouldn't think you'd hear this about a player who has scored 40 goals on the season, but there have been times when he's thought that she's worried too much about being unselfish. There have been times that he thought that she ought to go ahead and think shoot more than pass.
I think sometimes that might not be a bad problem to have. You know, you want your girl to go, but if she's thinking about her teammates as well, she's got kind of a double-edged sword there for defenders to worry about.
Stephanie Cox with the free kick. Cox again with 17 goals on the season. Long arcing shot off the top of the crossbar. Stephanie Cox elbowed yesterday in a collision in the quarterfinal against Palatine, and I don't know if we'll ever be able to get a close-up of her, but she has got a dandy shiner on the left eye.
That's something to tell a story or two about.
Thought she ought to go home last night, put a piece of steak on that. Bartkowiak again.
Drink a couple of raw eggs on top of it, you know, do the whole Rocky thing.
Bartkowiak active at the top of the box. Now for Sandburg, Amy McMahon, another freshman defender, is into the game. Her pass to Durack too far, knocked back toward the Sandburg goal by Redden and out of bounds.
Something that's happening with Sandburg since the substitutions, they've moved Marissa Belsky up front, where she's more of a target player now, so she doesn't have to do as much running along the midfield where she normally plays, and Mary Volk has moved back into a midfield spot out wide for Sandburg.
Nessie well marked, and the ball taken off. This is Seidel. Seidel with the cross, now at the top of the box. Some traffic in front, contact, shot goes wide. Seidel hits the left side of the net.
Well, Lori's going to keep shooting. She had an opening there and a good turn. She just hit it a bit wide, but it looked like Katie Bull had that covered pretty well.
Seidel with 7 shots on goal in the 2 games leading up to this one.
Watch the turn here as she gets on the loose ball. Ball slips on by everybody with the brakes. They'll get it over to Seidel. Little striker with the right foot. Bull was all over that one.
The play continues in midfield. The header by Katie Hertz. And now, just a reminder, and now we'll see how long this lasts, but Sandburg out of the SICA conference in the south suburbs in the home white, St. Charles the visitor, and wearing black. Now contact and a foul called there on Lindsey Rogers, and so St. Charles once again. Anna Marinaccio very quickly ahead to Juliet Kakaitis, steaming down the right side. Over to cut her off is Jamie Bartkowiak. She's able to knock the ball to the far side, gets some help, and now Hertz in a race with Cox. Cox takes the ball away. Mary Volk there for Sandburg.
Of all the things that Katie Hertz does well, that's one thing that somehow she needs to work on. She's small and she's not that physically strong. You saw Stephanie Cox, number 18 for St. Charles, just knock her off the ball over there. And, you know, in talking to the coach of Sandburg, Fullenwider, he said, boy, if we could just get her a little bit stronger on the ball.
Now steaming around the right side, that's Becky Myers. She's marked well again by Volk. Hertz back out, leading for Durack. Can't complete the pass. Emily Lubke, senior defender in the game for St. Charles. Now Bilski to Rogers and out of bounds.
Number 2, Anderson for the Saints.
Also into this game for Sandburg, the Eagles, number 7, Denise Manchester, another freshman. She plays the midfield.
She scored the winning goal in PKs in the quarterfinal round win for Sandburg.
Now a collision as Cox goes down with Bartkowiak. St. Charles the play, low, going one-on-one. She's taking a look, and now to the right side, top of the box, that's Seidel. Back out to Kelly Bernard, and a whistle.
I think that's Amy McMahon, who is down. A lot of mud on the back of her jerseys, but she's holding the left side of her face. McMahon, only a freshman, Brian told you about, just recently got into the lineup, and that one's stinging a little bit. So it looked like she set her neck. Here's what happened.
And number 24, Jill Straga.
It just looked like she maybe snapped her neck on the swing with her right foot. Looked the way she mouthed over to her coach that she said her neck.
16 minutes and change into the first half of this 1996 girls soccer title match. Sandburg and St. Charles, we're scoreless. Crossing pass into the penalty area goes well wide, but it's still in play. And now the ball is guarded out over the goal line by a pair of Sandburg defenders, and the Eagles will take possession.
Brian, we talked about the difference in these two teams being here and not being here. The St. Charles Saints have made it to the Sweet 16 in 5 of the last 8 years. The only time Sandburg has been to this Elite 8 is back in 1991, and coincidentally, they lost to Libertyville, who went on to win the state title that year. They knock out Libertyville in the semifinals.
Into the game for Sandburg, you see number 24, Jill Sorega, freshman wingback with a goal and an assist. She is also part of the injury picture. She has been hurt. The Eagles also playing without arguably their second best player, junior wingback Maggie Harris, who has been out with mononucleosis.
Number 9,
Courtney Farina, an all-tournament player here a year ago with the throw-in. Now the shot, and an easy save on the right footer by Mary Rose Siegler, junior midfielder just inserted into the game by Joe Morrow, St. Charles's coach. At Kikaitis, taken off the ball by Nessie. The advance pass by Manchester. Anderson for St. Charles. Seidel being worked by Rogers, gets the ball out. This is Anderson. She's got room. She fires, and a sure save made by Katie Bull for Sandburg.
Sure save for sure, Brian. She got the top of her body over that, brought it down to the ground, and fell on top of it. Here's another look at the stop, and this is something that the goalkeepers are going to have to be very aware of in field conditions like this. Good positioning, good strike. Great save by Bull.
And now Courtney Farina with a high arcing shot that just misses the upper left corner of the net.
Brian, the Saints are starting to put their stamp on this game a little bit. They've had the Sandburg Eagles pinned down in their third of the field for the last 10 minutes or so. And you know, on their way to this championship game, Sandburg has played this role a lot. They've sat back, they've absorbed pressure, and when they get chances to go forward, they usually make something dangerous happen up front. But in the last 5-10 minutes, they haven't even been able to cross the half line. They've changed St. Charles, putting a lot of pressure on the Eagles.
Now a good defensive play made there by Denise Manchester, but St. Charles retains possession. Kelly Bernard, the senior defender, who is one of 2 Saints players that'll go on scholarship to Illinois State next season, puts it into play. Aaron Lowe having switched off to the right side. She's marked by Megan Hurley. The ball out of bounds, and again to St. Charles, working that ball ever deeper as we hit the midpoint of the first half. Welcome in to Conant High School along with Ed Vicinic. I'm Brian Davis. It's the 1996 Soccer Championship on Sports Channel. Emily Lubke, we talk about players who are going on to bigger things. Tell you about them in a moment. On the throw-in, the deflection wide of the mark. Emily Lubke is going to try to walk on at Wisconsin, which is no mean feat, is it, Ed?
Wisconsin, always one of the better nationally ranked programs in women's soccer. Actually, we're coached by a former Sting player, Greg Ryan, for a while up there.
Another former Sting player, Brett Hall, has been instrumental in the development of many of these St. Charles Saints.
Brett's in the crowd today. He said, hey, I brought 8 sweatshirts with me.
Farina to Anderson. Sorry, Ed, she's got room, but then with that strong left leg, now the header down on the rebound. Save made by Bowl and a foul called as Bowl knocks it away. Contact, the whistle sounds.
Yeah, I think Lori Seidel hit it with her hand, and the handball called in front there. We'll take another look at it. Good run here on the left side by Sonia Anderson. She gets the ball across, and this is creating trouble. Had the ball down, and there was Seidel with her left arm, and then the push. I don't know which one of those got called. Brian, this is something Katie Ball's going to have to be a little bit stronger on getting these balls out of her area. Just play it to the side, either side, or get some more distance, which is easier to say from up here. But she's really not giving her defense a chance to take a breather because the balls are going right back into the box.
Nessie nearly loses the ball there to Kelly Bernard, and now Lupke comes up with it for St. Charles.
There's a good matchup right there. Lori Seidel and Lindsay Rogers. Rogers, one of the 2 seniors in the starting lineup for Sandburg. Rogers has had the assignment of every top scorer that Sandburg has seen through the season and throughout this tournament, and she's showed herself very well. Very tenacious defender that goes hard after the ball.
After Sandburg eliminated Libertyville in the double shootout, the sudden death portion of the shootout this morning in the semifinal, their coach Andy Bitta said, you know something, you're going to have your goaltender win this game. Anderson, strong left foot. Now the one touch by Seidel. She goes wide to the left and falls down. And the ball to Sandburg. But again, we talk about putting Katie Ball in a position where she's going to have to win this game. And it really does seem as if that's the case. She made 14 saves in each of the first 2 games of the tournament.
Another dangerous ball sent across by Sonia Anderson, the senior, with the left foot. And Lori Seidel, just a deflection in front of the goal. That's all that is needed. She just failed to get that one on frame.
Goal kick for the Eagles.
Another goal kick for Sandburg. So much of the play here in the first half, and we're down to 17.5 minutes remaining. So much of the play in the Sandburg end. Let's not forget, though, that in the super sectional at Wheaton Warrenville South on Wednesday, St. Charles actually fell behind Glenbard West 1-0, and it stayed that way for much of the game, even though the Saints had carried the play to Glenbard. It was one of those situations where West got a break and was able to take advantage.
You know what, and I think that says something about the makeup of the St. Charles girls. I mean, that's a position that they haven't been in a lot this season. Obviously, you look at that record and the number of shutouts, you don't get behind too much, and in a state tournament when it's a knockout, you know, something like that happens, they recovered well.
Farina with the kick and trying for the one-touch at Kakeda's. Bowl kicks it to safety. Outside the box, Farina has it back for the Saints. Farina marked there by Denise Manchester. And into the corner, now a push. And St. Charles, they're going to get a corner kick out of this. Stand by, a scoreless first half. St. Charles and Sandburg, the girls' soccer final on Sports Channel. Into play on the corner kick at Kakeda's. The header by Seidel. Knocked down and saved by Bowl. Lori Seidel loves to head the ball, Ed. She hasn't scored many goals that way, but she likes the header.
Well, out of the 40 goals that she scored, maybe 3 or 4 came off her head, but we see she's very strong in the air. In the semifinal game against Granite City, she had some sweet head balls, getting up high and getting some power on the ball.
Welcome into Conant High School. Brian Davis and Ed Vicinic. Scoreless first half so far. The race on there between Mary Rose Sigler for St. Charles and Marcy Zapka for Sandburg. St. Charles retains possession, and once again they get a chance to work the ball down low just to the outside and the edge of the penalty area. Sarah Lynch now into the game for St. Charles, and she has got the throw in. Misses Stephanie Cox. Seidel charging now. Farina challenging, and just at the edge of the goalkeeper's box, Bowl falls on it.
Katie Bowl has a pretty strong goalkeeper pedigree. Her brother Andy as the assistant coach, was a goalkeeper for the Sandburg Eagles, then went on to play collegiately at the University of Illinois Chicago, and he's helped out a lot, not only with Katie, but with the rest of the teams. The girls feel very comfortable with him, and it's been a good situation for Sandburg.
Jill Sorega will throw it in for Sandburg. She kicked it off with Sonia Anderson and out of bounds. Now looking there for Bilski, marked well by Anderson. The pass intended here for her. She goes up with the head. Ludke intercepts for St. Charles. The Saints on the counter, but the pass misses Sarah Lynch. Now she does get it back. Taken off the ball there by McMahon for Hertz. Marked well there by Redden. To Lynch again at midfield.
No, I think I said Andy Bull. It's Brian Bull, who is the assistant coach for the Sandburg Eagles.
A lot of brother acts, though. A lot of these players from Sandburg, as you indicate, have older brothers who played the game at a very high level. And that is something, obviously, hey, listen, you're fooling around in the backyard, you're going to learn something from Big Brother. Bull's brother played goal. He was an All-Stater. Brian Hertz. Nessie's brother played at Bradley, and Bilski's brother as well. So that's 4 players on this team who had older brothers who played at a fairly high level.
You know, Brian, something that I've been seeing happening to soccer over the last 10 years or so is it's making an evolutionary step. Those things are happening. People who started playing back in the late 70s, early 80s are now coaching. They've gone through the process of learning the game. Now they're giving something back.
Bilski is called for the foul, and you can see as she gets up, she's walking with some difficulty. Folks, I'll tell you what, when we got to the end of that shootout this morning in the semifinal, she could barely walk. It's nothing short, I think, of miraculous that she's still on the field.
Now she injures the other leg. Which one do you limp on now?
Well, I'll tell you what, now that's one of those what they call Hobson's choices. You're darned if you do and darned if you don't.
No doubt about it. But, you know, she has a very, very sweet touch on the ball, and she's also one of the faster Sandburg Eagles, and obviously due to the injury and the field conditions, that speed is all but eliminated.
Hurley misses the ball. Sarah Lynch takes it back. She goes to the right foot, hits the side of the net.
Sandburg is going to have to find a way here, Brian, to get the ball upfield and at least put some pressure on St. Charles. I think one of the things we're looking at prior to the game is St. Charles, as a team, has a chance to set a record for the fewest saves during the state tournament run here. And so far, there has been nothing for Laura Rowland to do other than try and keep herself warm.
Palatine a year ago required to make only 6 saves. Now steaming down the left side. Becky Myers makes contact with Mary Volk. Sandburg retains possession. And keep it right here on Sports Channel for the best of Illinois High School Championship. Immediately following our game, and Penstone and Bonnie Beach will be at Hoffman Estates High School for the 1996 Boys Volleyball Championship. Back into play, Seidel with a nice kick back to midfield. Bartkowiak there to take it for Sandburg, out of bounds.
Is Bonnie Beach a perfect name for somebody doing volleyball?
Oh, I guarantee. I guarantee. Becky Myers with the throw in for St. Charles to Farina. Courtney Farina, we mentioned she was an all-tournament player last year. Courtney Farina just back in the super sectional on Wednesday against Glenbard West after an extended period loss to a knee injury which required surgery. And once again, Marisa Bilski paying a serious price with her body.
I think she's smiling now. She's going, what else could happen to me? She's going in strong, and you got to give her credit. Holds off the defender and then gets taken away.
And a yellow card issued to the Saints' Megan Rickard on that play.
She came in from behind. Good call by the ref. Katie Hertz will come in to put the ball back in play. This is a ball they want to get into the penalty area if they can and hopefully get a deflection. She gets it toward the top of the area. Handball there. Ball skipped up on Lindsey Rogers.
There's a difference right there, comes right to mind when you look at the professional game. Handball at the pros gets you a red card.
It depends on in what situation it's done, Brian. I mean, the situation right there, I don't think would have been a red card. If it's taken away a scoring opportunity and it's done intentionally, definitely it's a red card. But something like that, maybe a warning, maybe a yellow.
At Kakatis in the box, crossing. Seidel can't control, but now Cox, and a goal! She gets the right foot on the rebound. St. Charles takes a 1-0 lead.
She put that ball side netting, and I think it was deflected on the way there. Katie Bull, I don't know if she had a clear view of that shot. There was a lot of traffic out in front, but a good turn by Stephanie Cox. Taken down by Seidel there, I believe, and then Cox came around. I don't know if it clipped the defender, but that's a great finish.
Katie Bull's left foot looked like it hung up in that mud. It looked like her spikes got caught. And the bottom line is the 1-0 lead for the 3-time state champion St. Charles Saints on Stephanie Cox's 18th goal of the year.
Well, see how the Sandburg Eagles respond here. Is that a goal that's going to open the floodgates for St. Charles? Or is Sandburg going to hang in there?
Here's Megan Hertz. Megan Hertz looking ahead from Mary Volk. Marked off the ball by Becky Myers.
Goal comes in the 29th minute. Stephanie Cox.
Sandburg with a chance down low with an even 10 minutes remaining in the first half. Amy McMahon with the throw in for the Eagles. She takes a look, puts it into the air. Headed out by a Saints player, but now a shot on goal goes wide. Taking that shot, Marisa Zapka, who has 10 goals on the season. She's the one with the cracked shin, and she had the lone goal in a big sectional victory over Sicka rival Lincoln Way a week ago.
There's a little clue as well as to how Sandburg might respond. This is a team that hasn't quit all season long. They haven't gotten a lot of respect, but they work hard, and that's one thing that Vollenweider is so proud about with this team. He says, you know what, I don't even really care about winning the trophy. I'm just glad that we had a chance to practice a couple extra more weeks and went this far. It's been so much fun.
There is, well, it's sort of a saw amongst coaches. It's, you know, one of those rules, common wisdom, whatever, conventional wisdom, that the best time to score on the other team is just after they've scored on you.
There's a little bit of a letdown, and as a coach of a team who scored, that's something that you always tell them. You got to defend and you got to play hard in the first 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes of every half, and directly after you've scored a goal.
We've actually seen that this morning. Very late in regulation, Sandburg scored. Libertyville came right back just a minute and change later on. Last night in the game between St. Charles and Palatine, the Saints scored. Sonia Anderson turned out to have the game winner on the play. 30 seconds later, Palatine converted on a penalty kick for the final margin of 3-2.
Happens a lot. Got a good glimpse of the strong right foot of Anna Marinaccio, who will go on to play at Northern Illinois University in Frank Horvath.
Scholarship player there. Mentioned Kelly Bernard is going to go on scholarship to Illinois State. And now the rush and a shot. Bull loses the rebound. Kicked to safety by Barkoyak. With Kristen Winterick right in the neighborhood. Now the left footer deflected defensively by Barkoyak. She has played strong throughout this tournament.
You know, we talked about how the forwards have to be alert for rebounds. Well, if you're a defender, you also have to know that it's going to be tough for your goalkeeper as well. And Barkoyak was right there. And then that second ball kind of took a quicker skip on her, and she was only able to get a knee on it.
Winterick on the corner kick, and in front. The ball is deflected out. What's the call? A handball.
He wants time stopped. I think Amy McMahon was the one in goal, and I was going to say great save as she helped out her keeper, but she's being given a red card.
Amy McMahon with the red card. The ruling by the referee that she saved the ball intentionally.
Well, it was in a crowd, and I thought she got a head on it, but the referee right there really didn't waste any time. There's a good look.
And so a penalty kick for St. Charles. That's the important thing here. Kristen Winterick is going to take the penalty kick.
And on top of that,
from 12 yards out.
If that is a for sure red card, which I had a tough time seeing whether it was red or yellow, now Sandburg is going to have to play a man short as well. Things not looking good.
Katie Bowl big in a couple of shootouts. Winterich with the shot, and she scores! Kristen Winterich with her 7th goal of the season on the penalty kick, and with 7 minutes, 14 seconds remaining in the first half, St. Charles doubles its pleasure. The Saints lead Sandburg 2-0.
Here's a replay of the PK. Well struck, couple of steps, side foot, side netting. Doesn't get any better than that. No chance for Katie Bowl, who has to deal with that quagmire in front of her net.
And now St. Charles, Ed, can more or less start to pack it just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see that, though. This is an attacking team, a team that likes to play creative, magical soccer. There's the goal for Kristen on the PK. They're going to play, and it's going to give Joe Moreau a chance to get a lot of players in the lineup. I mean, not that he's losing anything. He can go about 18 deep on his bench anyway, but it's going to get a lot of girls chances to play in this game. That should be 2-0 St. Charles up in your left-hand corner.
Katie Hertz with the direct kick into the penalty area, knocked down by Marinaccio. And now on the scramble, it comes back toward midfield. We've got a rush on the left side. This is Amanda Wade, can't keep it into play. She had a teammate streaking down toward the middle of the field, but she couldn't keep it in play. Wonder whether it would have been onside in any case, but a good rush by the Saints.
And Lindsay Rogers, that man marker for Sandburg, is trying to go step for step there. Very in-shape athlete. She's a swimmer along with Megan Hurley.
Now the cross by Siegler. The shot by Winterich goes wide. Winterich marked there by, guess who? Bartoliak.
Went from her sweeper spot. Boy, what a luxury it is for Sandburg to have a girl who steps in as a freshman as a sweeper. You know, a lot of times, a lot of people, okay, who are we going to stick back there at sweeper? You're trying to find somebody to anchor your defense. Well, that's one worry that Fullenwider won't have for the next 4 years at Sandburg.
Pushing foul is called on St. Charles. Hertz starts the play again. And once again, Stephanie Cox with the rush the other way. Amanda Wade down the sideline, marked there by Rogers. St. Charles retains possession.
I really like the way number 10 Lindsay Rogers plays, and you get a view of it right here. Here I come, ball's mine.
5 minutes remaining in the first half. St. Charles with a 2-0 lead on Sandburg as the Saints bid for their 4th State High School Girls Championship. Their 4th appearance in the final match is a new state record. 3 titles as it is the state record.
Marissa Bilski just was subbed for Sandburg. She of the hamstring injury.
Michelle Durak back in the game as once again the Saints go to the corner. Winterich will put it into play. In the air, and the header goes high at Kakaitis. Tried to head it into the goal, and she went high with it.
Once again, Brian, Sandburg playing with only 9 field players now since the red card to Amy McMahon. Talk about having your backs up against the wall.
Oh, brother. But you know, yesterday, Palatine, what had happened was, well, I'll get to that in just a moment. Here, let's take a look at this. This is Denise Manchester for Sandburg. Puts it out to the far side of the field. Erin Lowe had a breakaway for St. Charles. Erin Eckberg, Palatine's standout goalkeeper, came out and basically was left with no choice but to roll block Lowe on the rush. She gets the red card just off of that on an ensuing corner kick. Anderson scores the goal for St. Charles, but back they come the other way, and Palatine scores 30 seconds afterward to make it again that 3-2 game. So they've had their share, the Saints had, of Wild and Woolley, and they got bit again with Palatine, a player short yesterday.
Well, a couple of things happened. many times when there's a red card ejection. One is the team that loses a player, they strap it up a little more. They start playing harder. They know they're a man down, so they go a little bit harder and work a little harder. The other thing is there's this sense of, I don't know if you want to call it relief, but now you think you're invincible with the player up, and you might not be doing as much work as you were before.
Mary Volk kicks it hard off Amanda Wade. An opportunity for St. Charles, and the ball kicked to safety by a Sandburg defender.
Right now, Sandburg has a long road to go here, given this situation. Take a look at this again. Koyak got a head on it, but didn't get out of play, and then help from her stopper, Lindsey Rogers.
Into play. Volk knocks it back to the sideline.
Number 17, Emily Lupke.
Lupke says, thank you very much, I'll take it again. And she does. Inside 2 minutes now in the first half. And a shot, and oh, Seidel goes high, and she was looking at a lot of twine, big boy.
Great quickness from Laura Seidel. She got to that ball, and Lindsey Rogers is wondering what happened. She thought she had good position in front. Watch how quick Seidel got to the ball. That left foot came around. She just didn't get over it enough. That's why she scored 40 goals this year.
At Kakatis on the rush, taken off the play by Hertz. Now Jean Gerke for Sandburg.
Dangerous play.
Gerke, the junior defender who had a major role this morning in the semifinal against Libertyville, but she has not had many opportunities to touch the ball here in the first half. We're inside the final minute.
It's been pretty much all St. Charles. It's one of the things that the Saints do so well. They've got such great skill, but one of the things you have to do is protect the ball. St. Charles has always been a team that uses their body well and shields off the defender, able to hold it, gain some time.
Volk looking in with a half-minute remaining. Her team down a pair of goals. Looking for Durack. Now Hertz with the header. She's taken off by Redden. Lupke comes to help. Redden takes it into the corner, pressured by Hertz, and out of bounds with 10 seconds remaining.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Gerke the throw in, and now the header by Wade as time expires, and St. Charles goes to intermission in firm control of this one with a 2-0 lead, the Saints over the Eagles of Sandburg High School. I'm Brian Davis along with Ed Vicinic as we go to a break. When we come back, we'll take a closer look at the St. Charles Saints through the eyes of our friends at Schoolyard Jam. Stand by. It's the 1996 IHSA Girls Soccer Final on Sports Channel. Along with Ed Vicinic, Brian Davis back at a rain-swept Conant High School in Hoffman Estates. St. Charles opens the second half with the ball led and a 2-0 lead. How steep is this mountain for Sandburg's Eagles?
I don't know if it gets any steeper, Brian, to be quite honest with you. This is a team, Sandburg, that has had to face a lot of adversity all season long. A lot of people didn't believe in them. Well, now they've got injuries to contend with. Not only that, but they're playing with a man short, or a girl short, and they're playing the best team in the state. This
Myers.
is what Cinderella stories are made of, though.
Myers. Low charging, can't get there. Ball sent all the way back across the field and into the the Sandburg bench.
You know, I think if you look at a bright spot from the Sandburg end, they haven't allowed Lori Seidel to score.
Yeah.
Yet.
But Stephanie Cox has scored, and Kristen Winterich has scored on a penalty kick. That came in a red card situation in which Amy McMahon from Sandburg was called for a handball off a corner kick. The intentional foul, the red card, and so Sandburg, on top of everything else, is playing one body down here in the second half.
Another thing that Sandburg has to contend with is the defense of St. Charles, all seniors. Marinaccio, Lupke, Redden, Bernard, all senior players, and they know what to do when they get in situations back there. And one of the things that this game has not allowed us to do is see the skill of an Anna Marinaccio, the All-State sweeper.
Seidel on the charge, knocked down by Lindsey Rogers, who has been one of Sandburg's more active players in this match tonight. Let's take a look at that situation again. Almost looked as if a little frustration might have come into play as well.
Well, there's the battle we've been seeing all game, Seidel and Rogers.
Strong kick into the box. At the top of the box, Hertz with the left foot takes it out to safety. Now ahead to Nessie. Laura Robertson, junior wingback, used sparingly but into the game now in the second half with St. Charles leading 2-0. Kelly Bernard.
Something we haven't talked about, Brian, is these girls are playing their 4th game in 4 days. Wednesday was the super sectionals, then they play Friday and two on Saturday. Physically, it takes its toll.
That after all but one of the super sectionals, the one at Stevenson involving Libertyville, I believe it was, against Maine South. That one went off as scheduled in a torrent on Tuesday. Everything else played Wednesday. Well, that of the matches that were scheduled here in the Chicago area, the 2 super sectionals downstate did go off as scheduled. Granite City, Peoria, Ridgewoods, the downstate representatives here in the Elite 8 tournament at Conant. Now, Emily Lubke. Lubke doing her steamboat imitation ahead to Anderson. Marked well by Sorega for Sandburg. Anderson controlling the ball into the corner. And possession is awarded there to St. Charles.
What a sweet pass from Emily Lubke here. In these conditions, at that speed, she puts it right on the foot.
Seidel the head low. Now the shot there. Sorry, hit by Becky Myers. Seidel to low to Myers. The kick goes high. St. Charles bidding there for a 3-0 lead. But again, a high shot. We've seen that a couple of times where Katie Bull, the Sandburg goalkeeper, caught something of a break. Another out-of-bounds play, Sorega, as Atka Katis fails to maintain possession for St. Charles. Sandburg trying to generate something, anything here in the second half. There is time.
Now, if they're looking for a miracle, something that they need to make happen is to get the ball somewhere near the St. Charles goal.
Hurley taken off the ball by Seidel. Out of bounds to the Eagles. And now a pushing foul is called.
I really think St. Charles has been on a mission since last year, losing to Palatine.
I think that they have, and I want to talk about that in just a second after we tell you, folks, that the broadcast rights for the Illinois High School Girls Soccer Championships have been granted a sports channel by the Illinois High School Association. Any reproduction or rebroadcast of this event without the expressed written consent of Sports Channel and the IHSA is prohibited. The loss to Naperville Central in the 4th game of the year, Ed, took a lot of pressure, actually, off of St. Charles. Now a rush by Volt. Taken off the play by Redden. Marinaccio kicks it to safety. But see, what happened was St. Charles was ranked #1 coming into the season. They lose. They spend most of the year at #2. And as a matter of fact, Kelly Bernard told her mates, look, we've lost. That's done with. Let's have some fun. And Joe Moreau says that they really relaxed and enjoyed themselves a lot more as the season progressed from that point.
I think that's exactly right. I mean, you know, we're talking about high schoolers here, and when you got the pressure of being the best, and then you're going into a tournament undefeated. I mean, there's so many different ways to look at that. You know, undefeated, we should win. Coaches never want their teams to lose, but I think a lot of them might privately say, you know what, it might not be bad for us. And in this case, it's allowed a team to be free of things that they really don't need to deal with.
Peter Follenweider is going with players that he has not been using much of late. Courtney Nolan, senior midfielder. Among those, she's wearing 15 in Sandburg's home whites.
Now, something else that has happened here on the Sandburg side is it's forced this player right here, Katie Hertz, to drop deeper into the Sandburg end. So she's got to expend a lot more energy going back and forth since the loss of Amy McMahon.
Winding into it, high arcing shot. She loses it into the goal! Laura Rowland, Sandburg. St. Charles's keeper loses control of the ball. It slips out of her hands. Sandburg right back into it on the kick by Hertz. It's 2-1.
I told you they had to get the ball somewhere near the St. Charles goal, and Katie Hertz struck it well. Brian, I was just about to say, look at nobody from Sandburg is following that shot, and there was no reason that they shouldn't have been. As it turned out, they didn't need to, but those are the types of things that can happen in weather conditions like this. And there's the sophomore, the all-stater. A lot of people say she's the third best player in the entire state. Bit of magic in a bottle.
Katie Hertz with her 13th goal of the season.
Brian, maybe the carriage hasn't turned into a pumpkin yet.
Oh, Cinderella, hello. She may, in fact, be out there with 33 minutes, just a shade under. Remaining here in the second half.
I want to know.
Sandburg cutting St. Charles's lead in half. It's 2-1 St. Charles.
This is a dangerous situation here. We talked about things happening right after a goal.
And the shot by Seidel goes wide.
I want to know what shoe manufacturer makes glass soccer spikes.
Hey, put somebody on it. Give one of those guys an idea. The Nikes, the Reeboks, Adidas, whomever.
But
Give them an idea. Hey, you can get a cut, Ed.
You got to put it on the ugliest one out there. Who's going to pick that? Certainly not I.
Not I, said the bald guy. Actually, another version of the two bald guys in the booth. I don't know if we're ready for this.
You know what happens when we put our heads together, don't you? I'm not going to say.
Thank you, no. Somebody mistakes something for something else. All right, here's Lowe. Now with the cross. Oh, just missing, but a goal! Off the rebound. Amanda Wade regains the 2-goal lead for St. Charles.
A great ball across from Erin Lowe, who took it and got it across with the right foot, and then a ball that was skipping with a lot of pace on it, and Amanda Wade just buried it top shelf. When Brian, we talked a couple of times in this game about goals that come right after other goals. It couldn't have been more than a couple of minutes from the time that Katie Hertz had gotten the Sandburg Eagles to within a goal.
St. Charles keeper Laura Rowland struggling to maintain possession of that ball in the face of some pressure, but she does kick it away now. Back to midfield. Mary Rose Sigler to Lowe. Back to Sigler. She's got room. Bartkowiak chasing the right footer. Fires, saved by Ball.
Katie Ball has been very sure-handed in this game. In a game that you just saw, Laura Rowland had trouble with a high ball. She's been able to get her body in front of a lot of those, and the rain's starting to pick up a little bit.
Marinaccio back to midfield. Gerke takes Ankakakis off the ball. Marinaccio again for St. Charles. Gerke.
Nice combination play from Sandburg.
Down low to Manchester. St. Charles steals. Sends it the other way. Erin Lowe charging and colliding there with Megan Hurley.
Well, Erin Lowe and Laura Seidel aren't taking anything for granted. They're still going in for those 50-50 balls as hard as they were at the start of this game. I think maybe that goal that Hertz scored moments ago is somewhat of a wake-up call. You know, it's tough for the goalkeeper, Laura Rowland, who hasn't had a whole lot to do this entire game. And all of a sudden, she's facing a situation where she hasn't touched the ball. And that's not making an excuse for her, but that's something that she has to deal with.
Outside of the shot on which Hertz scored, Sandburg has not had a shot on goal in this match.
It's been a walk in the park for Laura Rowland, albeit on a rainy day.
So she has made 2 saves in this game. Actually, she didn't. Lindley Hilligoss, her backup keeper who played the semifinal. Hilligoss, a promising sophomore who in the eyes of Moreau really deserved a chance to play in the tournament. Hilligoss made a couple of saves last night against Palatine. 2 balls went in against Orland. Outside of that, the Pirates got nothing on net. So 6 saves being the tournament record for fewest. You never say I'm going to guarantee it, but I'm doing everything but guaranteeing that St. Charles is going to set a new tournament record for fewest saves in the 3-game event.
Well, the complexion of this game would bear out what you're saying.
Low to Cox with the right footer, deflects it off of Hurley. Back out to Siegler. Hurley marking, edge of the box, left foot cross. Wade trying to go back to Siegler. Knocked away. Lubke has it for St. Charles. The left footer well wide and out of bounds.
Well, you're seeing something there that Sandburg has to deal with when they play the ball forward after defending. They played it forward to Marissa Bilski, who's really playing on one leg. Not only does she have to try to go to goal, but she's got 4 St. Charles Saints surrounding her. So she's got to try to beat 4, go about 70 yards. It's a high mountain to climb.
Ziegler stopped by the whistle as a pushing foul is called on the Saints. One of the things that St. Charles is viewed as a team that maybe can get, if you want to look at a weakness, is there a weakness, quote unquote? Sometimes opposing coaches say they can get a little bit tentative inside their own penalty area. The trick, of course, is getting the ball into the penalty area to test them on that.
I think that might be really looking for some fine hairs there. But you know, when you got to coach against the St. Charles, you got to make your team believe that they can beat them. And one thing that Mullenweider has told his team, hey, you deserve to be here. You can beat anybody. And he has said time and time again, I mean, you talk to him for 5 minutes and you're going to hear the "we never give up" and nobody works harder than us a bunch of times, because that is the exact truth.
Mullenweider, like a jockey with the whip with his troops in the semifinals, screaming at him, you gotta sacrifice. And some have in fact been able to step up, including that young woman right there, Bartkowiak, again coming out big as St. Charles applies pressure in deep.
Dynamic duo right there, Aaron Lowe and Laura Seidel. Between them, they have scored a lot of goals.
Now for Bartkowiak's good efforts, she gets to work on a defense against another corner kick for St. Charles. Atkakaitis will bring it into play. And you can see on screen, folks, your basic driving range. And in front, the header by Lynch, knocked away, and back out to safety off the foot of Jean Gerke. Long shot back in on Katie Bowles. She handles it easily, and with 25 minutes remaining in regulation here in the championship match, her team down 2. Katie Bowles starts to play again for Sandburg. Courtney Farina with a nice header off that goal kick. And now Hunter. Make that Rogers for Sandburg. Marissa Zapka to Bilski. Down and out she goes. And on the contact with Jessica Redden, Sandburg is awarded possession.
They'll get a free kick out here. Boy, she's going to look for a bubble bath after this one. Marissa Bilski.
Every one of these girls has earned it, I guarantee you that. Now Jean Gerke relieves Katie Hertz for the free kick.
They want to put Hertz in front of the goal, and maybe she can sniff one out, that ball directly at the goalkeeper.
Laura Rowland with Hertz charging in, putting on some pressure. A 2-woman wall with Redden and Bernard for St. Charles. Hertz gave up the free kick and then charged in, hoping for a rebound just in case Rowland mishandled it. Gerke off of Farina. The ball pushed down toward Bilski. Bilski guarded by Redden. Redden sends it up the sideline, out of bounds, back again to the Eagles.
It's such a helpless feeling when you know your hamstring is in a condition it's in. You can't make the moves, the cuts that you're normally used to. There's a look at Joe Moreau looking for a St. Charles Saints State Championship. And he's 23 minutes away from doing just that.
Marissa Zapka, one of a pair of twins on this Eagles team, with the throw in. An anxious moment as the ball goes through Anna Marinaccio. Probably looked more dangerous than it was, although it is raining as hard as it has all day, Ed, right now. So picking up the ball is no sure thing. Now, we've got a problem down in the St. Charles end with Katie Hertz down on one knee.
I hope she didn't lose a contact.
That would appear to be what it is, as a matter of fact. So timeout with 23 minutes and 6 seconds left. Let's take a look again at that play by Sapka.
She got bumped in the back, definitely, and she went right to the face.
The ball appeared actually to glance off the head of Saints defender Emily Lupke.
Hertz got pushed in the back on that play.
That was Lupke moving in.
Probably could have called a foul there, but the referee let it play.
Now back to midfield for St. Charles. Seidel, marked by Rogers. Back to Redden. Farina. Farina dances one defender, can't get past the next. That's Zapka. Now charging down for Sandburg, Melissa Circoni.
She's got the whitest uniform out there. You know, she has just come into the game.
Circoni, sophomore defender.
Marissa Sapka going in hard over here. She was actually a goalkeeper prior to this season. Watch her going hard. Got her arms up just a bit, and the foul call.
We talked a moment ago about Emily Lupke. Siegler with the cross, too high for low. Seidel knocks it down, goes to the right foot, fires, and Bowl covers it up. Nice save.
There's been 3 goals scored against Sandburg, yet I think Katie Bowl has played a very strong game in goal for Sandburg.
Another converted keeper here is Emily Lupke. Started to say that before that last flurry for the Saints. What do you think? If you've played goal as a shooter, if in fact you play up as a shooter, do you have any better advantage because you know what a keeper's tendencies are then, Ed?
I think you read the game a little better. You know which way you would react in a certain situation. You still have to have the technique to do it and finish it well, but I mean, you get another perspective that's definitely going to help if you take all that information and process it the way that it should.
Marinaccio into the wind, a boomer into the driving rain as well. Bilski charging, she's got room, overtaken and tackled by Siegler. Nice play to take her off the ball. Now Gerke counters for Sandburg, but the pass too far. Marissa Zapka unable to get to it before it gets out of bounds.
Brian, I can't run like that with a healthy hamstring. Look at Bilski doing with a hole in her hamstring.
Back of my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, hey, injury? What injury?
Oh, man.
Goodness gracious. Well, maybe that's the adrenaline of the competition, huh? That's Ed Vicinic, by the way. I'm Brian Davis. Welcome in. We've got just over 20 minutes left in the second half of regulation. St. Charles holding on to a 3-1 lead on Sandburg here in the girls' soccer final at Conant High.
Welcome in, but take off your shoes before you get in, would you?
And look at that. I mean, how bad is it? Gerke, an easy play, but not on this field. She goes down hard. Now Sandburg maintains possession. Lupke punches it ahead into the Sandburg zone for St. Charles. Back to get it. That's Sarah Lynch. Ahead to Anderson. Lead pass for Seidel too far. Intercepted by Bartkowiak.
When St. Charles gets the ball forward, the worst situation that they're looking at is even numbers, 3v3, 2v2, 4v4. On the other side, when Sandburg gets the ball forward, they're always looking numbers down. They got 1-on-3, 1-on-4, 2-on-4. It's a tough thing to do. You're playing a guy short or a girl short, and you got to get the ball upfield. You've been defending all game. It really takes a lot of stamina, and we've also mentioned the fact that they played 4 games in 3 days at a high level of competition. This is not an easy thing to do.
The throw in by Marissa Sapka. Now she leaves it as she's substituted. Denise Manchester comes into the game. Marissa Sapka leaves.
I mentioned that Denise Manchester scored the winning PK in the quarterfinals. She said that was the greatest thing I've ever done in my life.
But she's got a long way.
That's right.
Now the scramble for it. Ziegler once again strong on the ball. She actually knocks down Manchester, and she is called for the foul.
Well, Brian, before the game's over, I want to see like a 30-yard slide through the river we have running here on the near touchline.
Well, this is in. I'll give the officials a lot of credit for keeping good track of the sidelines, because, hey, folks, they ain't there no more. No question, too, the yeoman work done by our Sports Channel crew, our camera operators.
God bless them.
Out there. I mean, hey, listen, they want to go apprentice with Noah after this is over. They'll be qualified to do it.
They got it. They can only do it in even numbers, though.
Now, as far as those guys in the truck staying dry like us mofs up here in the press box, well, that's a whole nother story.
I don't know, we're going to probably try and get it back.
Oh, my goodness. This is just one of those where the weather, now as we hit the point in which 18 minutes are left, now you begin to resent the weather a little bit, because it is so hard against a team like St. Charles on a good field in good weather to come back. And now you begin to curse the elements a little bit. Cross there for Ziegler. She's taken off the ball by Manchester. This is, you know, one of those missions made even less possible by Mother Nature. And we said it was raining hard before. Folks, you see it right there.
There was a real nice painting in the center circle of the state of Illinois. That's long gone.
Yeah, Marty Hickman, the Associate Exec Director of the IHSA, really put on a nice tournament. We had some beautiful weather yesterday for the quarterfinals. We will at least take that, given what we've had here in the Chicago area the last several weeks, and run like a thief in the night. Ziegler with the left foot into the box. Lowe oversteps it. Now charging in, can't get it. Lowe takes a look through Sarah Lynch to Cox. To Seidel, right footer goes wide off the foot of Cox.
Right, there's still 16 plus to play in this game. I think when it starts to get under 10 minutes, I think what Sandburg is going to have to do is leave just a few defenders back there. Hopefully they can fend for themselves and commit a little bit more to attack.
Another corner kick here for St. Charles.
They use a short corner.
Shot. Oh, my goodness. How did that not make it into the net? Good defensive stop there by one of the Sandburg defenders just at the inside post.
That was Jean Gerke. Wow, she reacted very quickly, Jean Gerke did, with her left leg. Actually brought it up into a bit of an awkward position, but this was a great strike here by Sonia Anderson. Watch this. Thank you very much. Big save, because Katie Bowe was beaten.
Now back into play for the Eagles, who, by the way, coached by the second-year man, Follenweider. He's a 1985 graduate of Sandburg High School. He actually played there under Brian Papa, who is now at Lincoln Way. They're rivals.
Yeah, it's been a real special year for Follenweider. I mean, you mentioned that, and the 2 big games against Lincoln Way, they lost to Lincoln Way during the regular season 1-0, then had to play them again in the state tournament and beat them 1-0. I mean, both teams similar in their hard-working nature, but those are special games for Follenweider.
Well, as he tries to build something here at Sandburg, he assesses his situation thusly. I teach English and coach soccer. That's pretty much my life. It's not a bad life. Inside 15 minutes now in regulation. And Katie Hertz with the throw in, looking for Nessie. Can't get it there. Headed out by Lupke. Hurling ball. Back inside for Sandburg. Now a collision there as Redden goes down in a heap with Denise Manchester.
Michelle Durek was putting some pressure on there too, and that's exactly what Sandburg needs to do. They can't worry about being faked out in that situation, that position on the field. They just got to go strong after the ball, and hopefully they'll get the ball to bounce their way.
Michelle Durek one-on-one with Jessica Redden. Redden knocks it out. On the previous throw-in, we want to mention Sarah Roth into the game for Sandburg, senior wingback.
Look at this rain.
Roth, part of a group that Fohlenweider says, hey, listen, I may not use some of my seniors much, but every time that I put them into a situation, they can deliver for them. And we still have that confidence in them.
And you know, a lot of what the seniors do for Sandburg doesn't come in the game. A lot of it comes in the attitude that they've set in practice. They make sure that their sprints are run full out the entire time because they wanted to get here. They thought they had the talent to get there. They've gotten here, and a lot of it is because of the drive of the Sandburg Eagles seniors.
A lot of these players from Sandburg also. St. Charles, very well known as Hertz, goes down, marked by Redden on the near sideline. Now the ball pushed back up and out, and it'll be turned over to St. Charles. St. Charles has got a better-known soccer legacy, but in Orland Park about 10 years ago, a bunch of dads got together and put together a girls' team. Well, most of the young women that you have seen compete in this game tonight were part of that organization 10 years ago. They have literally grown up together playing this sport. And one of the things as girls soccer really takes hold, what you find is there's a real high junkie factor. Most of these girls here not only play during the season, they play club soccer, they go to clinics, they train year-round. And how big a motivator is it then, Ed, when you look at what is happening on the national scale with the U.S. national women's team? And Fohlenweider and Joe Moreau both say, yeah, you betcha. Our girls see that, and that pumps them up.
Well, Brian, I mean, I think that's a perfect example. There's a girl playing for the U.S. national team right now who went to this high school. And as a matter of fact, left high school to continue her playing
Jenny
with
Grubb.
Jenny Grubb. I mean, you know, you got people that you can look up to and that you can emulate. That's starting to happen. And I think you know, I don't want to say this is exclusive to just the women, because when you play soccer, there's a magic to this game that is just possesses you. And look at that. Get out the swim fins out there. That is the middle of the field is a lake.
Folks, just when you think it could not rain any harder. Wrong. Holy gracious. Batman.
We're gonna see a freighter going through the middle of the field any moment now.
Yeah, an ore boat headed up to Sault Ste. Marie. You know, another U.S. or a hopeful U.S. Olympian from just
Eddie
out
Keller.
the road. Yeah, that's right, Debbie Keller out from Waubonsee Valley. Her mom is the coach there. Sandburg beating Waubonsee. You know, let's talk about that for a moment. Talk about the caliber of teams. They get past Waubonsee. They get past New Trier. They get past Libertyville. All top 10 teams. And Peter Fohlenweider, I said, well, do you kind of feel like you sneaked up? And he said, well, that was true to a degree. But when you get to this point now, if you beat somebody, if you've snuck on them, if you've snuck up on them, shame on them. That's exactly right. And that is not meant, you know, to take away from anybody that they've beaten on the way. That's just a statement of fact. And in fact, Libertyville and New Trier were quite well prepared. Look at the fact that both those games went to shootout. And there's your evidence of that. Now Barkowiak with Kristen Winterich charging. Once again puts the ball out of play.
Some brave people.
And some really brutal weather.
And remember, there's somebody operating cameras in this weather.
And God bless them. This is very reminiscent of a couple of years ago in the boys championship, played in very similar conditions. Brian Davis with Ed Vicinic. Inside 10 minutes left in regulation. St. Charles leading Sandburg 3-1 on Sports Channel. Welcome back to Conant High School. Another corner kick for the St. Charles Saints. Winterich puts it into play. In front the scramble. Kicked out by Gerke. Now Anderson back with that left foot again. She's got a cannon. Did well to get into it as well as she did from a puddle of mud, but Bull with the save.
Yeah, the ball's getting heavy. The field is slow. See, a lot of things can happen now. If Sandburg can get the ball upfield, took out an umbrella over on the other side there momentarily on the St. Charles side. Brian, this is a situation where if you're not playing, you really don't want to be here.
Well, I'll tell you, there are several hundred diehards here who have really stuck with this. And we had a clue. The forecast was for rain probably, but I don't think we were looking for rain the way that we've got it here tonight. I want to go back to the dynasty building thing in just a moment and look at it from the overall perspective of what the girls are doing. They have, Marty Hickman from the IHSA told me last night that they have now well more than 200 schools playing girls soccer. Well, when you get to 300, Ed, that's when you start taking a look at maybe 2 divisions, you know, an AAA situation, and they are rapidly approaching that. Girls soccer, if it is not the fastest growing sport in the IHSA loop, I would be surprised by that.
It's getting there on the college level as well. And you know, one of the sad facts of the growth of women's soccer is it's starting to knock some men's soccer programs out on the college level due to a lot of situations that take us all day to deal with. But basically it comes down to money.
Yeah.
And you know, equality for women's sports with men's sports.
Boy, long punch in there. Gave the keeper for St. Charles, Laura Orland, something to think about. 7.5 minutes now left in regulation. St. Charles 3, Sandburg 1.
Brian, if I'm Sandburg right now, I've got 2 people back defending, and you cross your fingers and hope they can do the job, and you put everybody else forward. You're going to lose the game 3-1. You're going to lose the game 4-1, 5-1. Does it really matter? You need to get people up front, get some bodies in front of the St. Charles goal and have a chance to put the ball in the net.
Marcy Zapka charging and knocked down, colliding with Marinaccio and Anderson. Coming in to help, Marissa Zapka. And Sandburg retains possession. Jean Gerke with the throw in. Lots of black. Lots of black. And the ball deflected well wide. Another corner kick for Sandburg. There were 5 black jerseys on that corner kick, or rather on that throw in.
Here we go. Now Sandburg's got everybody up front there except for their sweeper, Jamie Barkowiak. Got to have some bodies up there. Good ball.
Booming ball from Hertz.
Strong play by the keeper, Laura Rowland, as well. She went over the top of somebody to knock that down, but it's going to give Sandburg another chance.
Coming up on the 6-minute mark in regulation. Situation desperate for the Eagles of Sandburg. And Hertz again with the boomer off ahead into the top of the box and cleared by Megan Rickert. Megan Rickert for St. Charles.
Sandburg doing a nice job of making something dangerous out of these corner kicks.
Rickert again under pressure by Megan Nessie.
It's important for Sandburg right now to keep St. Charles pinned in. Saints have played an excellent game.
Manchester for Hertz. Lubke out of bounds to the Saints.
And it's even rough on the track. You could do some hydroplaning across there.
You know, Ed, I just realized that hurricane season has in fact begun. This is the beginning of June. It is officially hurricane season. Look at that!
Now we're having some fun.
Oh.
Now we're having some fun.
Hey, this is soccer. This is not mud wrestling. Now, Katie Hertz is going to get a free kick here.
Referee moving the ball back to 10 yards. It should be. And Katie, the toughest part for her right now is to find a spot to put the ball in where she can get a clean strike on goal.
She's going to hit it from about 25 yards out. Over, and Orland knocks it down.
Nobody fouling it. Nobody fouling it. And you got to have people just going at goal in that situation.
She made good contact. But now we're just over the 4-minute mark. Hurley. Manchester. Off of Rickard.
What a ball.
Ahead to Nessie. Nessie crossing. And Redden to Marinaccio. Ball is turned over. Hertz struggling. Cleared by the Saints. Now Rogers. Taken off the ball by Aaron Lowe. And now, a little bit of mud wrestling near midfield. Steaming down the left side. Amanda Wade for St. Charles. Comes to the middle, or what is left of the middle of the field. Stephanie Cox. Myers.
Nice tackle.
Stolen by Manchester.
Good ball.
Marissa Zapka steaming. She's got a chance. Orland comes out for it and just does head it off. Laura Orland will play very aggressively in the St. Charles net. That is not always a good thing, but it works out well much of the time for Orland and St. Charles.
I've said it more than a few times on these broadcasts, Brian. If you're a goalkeeper, it's better to make mistakes being aggressive than it is not aggressive. If you've made your decision to go and come out of your net and attack it, you better be sure of what you're doing and have full confidence that you're making the right decision there. Don't go through it with half in your mind that I should be doing this, half in your mind that I shouldn't be, because that's when you allow the goals that you shouldn't be allowed.
2.5 minutes remaining in regulation.
Looks like the even years will continue to be a run.
It most certainly does.
For St. Charles. Hannah Marinaccio, All-State player. She'll be moving on to DeKalb.
Good ball into the box. Seidel off the side of the net as Bull charges out. Seidel looking for more. That 40 goals this year ties her for 8th on the all-time single-season production list here in the state of Illinois among high school girls. Corey Blasik for Sandburg.
These girls really shouldn't be playing out there without life vests.
Oh, man. I am quite impressed, actually, with the weather that we've had, that we have not had more blown knees here this season.
Something you really don't even want to think about.
No,
but
you
you're
definitely
right.
don't. Definitely don't. Once again, we go back to the limitations that were placed on the Eagles by the injuries that we've discussed to players like Nessie, Pilski. But here's a chance inside. Blasik trying to go to the left foot. Marinaccio defending. She gets it back ahead to Cox. Now a pile up at the top of the half circle at the top of the penalty area. Now Hurley for Sandburg. Myers marked by Manchester.
Becky Myers, one of the only freshmen to start.
We're into the final minute.
I take that back. There's 2 of them, and you just saw the other one. Juliet Kakaitis and Becky Myers, freshmen starting on the St. Charles side.
And a half minute left now in the 1996 girls soccer season. The celebration, wow. Talk about a dead ball.
I love this.
The celebration just a moment away now for the Saints. The surprise team from Sandburg coming in and not able to get the job done against a team that, as time winds down, extends its state record, make this 4 state championships for the Saints of St. Charles. Time has expired, and the 1996 champs, once again the Saints, as they defeat Sandburg by a score of 3-1. The pile up just outside the penalty area. Jubilation for the Saints, coached by Joe Moreau. who in his second year has now come to the promised land that was 3 times reached by his predecessor, Tim Daly.
No doubt about it, and they've done the double. The St. Charles Saints duplicate what the Palatine Pirates did last season. State championships in soccer on both ends, the boys in the fall, the girls in the spring.
Joe Moreau, 50 wins, 3 losses, and 3 ties in 2 seasons.
I'd say that will extend your contract.
Peter Follenweider for Sandburg as they go to the handshake line here at midfield, falls to 38-5. And Sandburg again has put South Suburban soccer on the map in a very different way. They fall short in the title game, Ed, but on the other hand, again, no more sneaking up.
I think you can see a lot of the faces of the Sandburg girls. There's not a lot of teary eyes there. These girls are smiling. They're congratulating the Saints. They know that they gave everything that they absolutely had in this game, and really when it comes down to it, what more can you offer? You can't ask any more of a player than to give everything they have, and every one of these girls wearing, well, a somewhat white jersey are going to be able to look themselves in the mirror and say, yeah, and that team right there, the St. Charles Saints, just show once again the caliber of soccer that they play out there in St. Charles, and it's high level.
Your state champions finished this season with a 25-game winning streak, 28-1 overall. Sandburg, 20 wins and 3 losses. The Eagles, the runner-up. Along with Ed Vicinic, I'm Brian Davis. We'll wrap it up in a moment. Here at Conard High School, it's the IHSA girls soccer title game on Sports Channel. Brian Davis and Ed Vicinic back at Conard High School, where St. Charles has won, well, it's extended its state record. 4 state girls soccer championships now for the Saints. And as the medal presentation continues, well, you talk about drive and you talk about excitement. Sandburg very proud to have its second-place medals. But the other night at Wheaton Warrenville South, Joe Moreau, the St. Charles coach, gathered his girls together after the win over Glenbard West and said, you feel the excitement and in unison? Yeah! Okay, you never played this game, said Moreau. Are you where you want to be? No, was the choral response, and that was his point. They came in focused. They came in, as a matter of fact, yesterday, last night after the quarterfinal victory over Palatine, Sonia Anderson said, hey, don't go out tonight, guys. I mean, what the heck? Teenagers will want to go out. It doesn't matter, you know? Don't go out tonight, guys. It's just one night. Make that sacrifice. It's just one night. And the payoff, well, we're seeing part of it here right now, Ed.
Yeah, you know what, Brian? I think you touched on a point earlier, too. The fact that St. Charles lost that game early on and took a lot of pressure out. You know, I was just thinking, I'm looking at these girls and the great high caliber of talent and soccer skills that they have, yet, you know, this is their 4th state championship. The St. Charles Saints don't go into a season without expecting to win another title. And when you've got that pressure on to live up to what girls have done in the past, it takes away from the fact that you can go out, play enjoyable soccer, have fun, and play entertaining soccer because you got that pressure. We got to win. Well, these girls did it.
You know, and they're not just jocks, though. We talk about how hard they work and how many of them train year-round, but Coach Joe Moreau encourages his girls to go out and work. We're talking about community service, work with shelters, clothing drives, fundraisers, that kind of thing. They do that. They put on clinics for kids in the community in St. Charles. So this is a team that plays also with a great deal of conscience, as well as drive and desire on the field.
And you know, there's some seniors on this team: Marinaccio, Jessica Redden, Emily Lupke, Kelly Bernard, Erin Lowe, of the starters who are going out with state championship medals.
Big cheer for Lori Seidel as she gets her championship medal again. A 40-goal season for Seidel. She scored both the goals in the semifinal victory over Granite City. She was shut out here tonight, but hey, a championship is a championship is a championship, and 50 points are 50 points.
She won one as a freshman, now as a junior, and you know she's going to be coming back hard next year to do it again, her senior season, and who knows what kind of record she'll be breaking next year.
Next trip to state for St. Charles will tie the Saints with Rockford Boylan. 7 tournament appearances. We mentioned that this is their 4th title. It's also the Saints' 4th appearance. They're 4 for 4 in the final, Ed. And that 4th appearance in the final match is also a new state record for the girls.
Now, there's what I want to see. I want to see some slides through the mud. There we go.
Oh, baby, it's like
Let's have a little fun.
It's like Woodstock, too.
I want to see, like, the first night that they had lights at Wrigley Field when it got rained on, and Jody Davis and Greg Maddox and Al Nipper were doing their belly whoppers across the tarp. Let's see some of that.
Of course, the manager wasn't terribly impressed by that, was he? It's interesting. I suggested Washington Bush is the athletic director here at Conant. He's the tournament manager. As Sandburg, the Eagles raised their 2nd place trophy. Nice addition to the case down in Orland Park. But Washington Bush, I was kidding him today, he brought these things into the garage, the trophies. And I said, you know, you ought to do like they do for the swimmers. You know, the swimmers, they take their trophies for a swim after the presentation, and so they lacquer those mothers up a little bit. And today would have been a good call for, it would have been a good call for lacquer here as the girls playing a quagmire. And we mentioned early that St. Charles was bidding for a soccer double. Folks, the Saints have a soccer double. The boys won last fall. The girls have won here tonight. And that matches what Palatine did a year ago. I'll give credit to the Pirates coach, Willie Fillion. Palatine, he's got both the boys and the girls. That's a hard feat.
I was just going to say that the only difference between the two is the Pirates are coached by one guy, 2 different people in charge of the soccer programs at St. Charles. There is a well-deserved state trophy being held aloft, and they might as well bring it over to their fans. These are the people who weathered these unbelievable conditions.
We wanted to show you the Benito Mussolini act that the parents put on. When St. Charles scores a goal, there's a group of about a dozen die-hard dads and moms that get up and do this. Benito Mussolini, da-da-da-da. Where that came from, I have no idea. But it's goofy.
Are you sure that's exactly how it went?
That's exactly, and I apologize for that.
First half, 2-0 as St. Charles got out early, and they scored the 2 goals within 3 minutes of one another. And that Winterich goal was scored after Amy McMahon was called for a handball in the goal mouth. So from that point on, the next 48 minutes, 47-plus minutes of the game, Sandburg had to play with 10 players to St. Charles 11. Then they got in with a Hertz goal, but right after that goal, within the next 2 minutes, St. Charles got back to that 2-goal lead.
Saints outshoot the Eagles 14-5, 10 saves for Bowl of Sandburg and 4 for Roland of St. Charles. Sports Channel would like to thank H. David Fry and Marty Hickman of the Illinois High School Association for making this championship event possible. We would also like to thank Washington Bush, the athletic director at Conant, and the girls soccer coach here, Brian Fairwood, for their cooperation in the coordination of this event. A personal note of appreciation to Phil Pilger of the Chicago Sun-Times, Tom Lang and Jim Froslett of the U.S. Soccer Federation for their help in preparing our broadcast. This game was produced and directed by Jim Corno Jr., graphics coordinator Bruce Mitchell. Remote facilities provided by Trio Video. Coordinating producer David A. Turner. Production manager Sheila Brown. The vice president in charge of programming at Sports Channel is Mike Bogat. Once again, the final, St. Charles defeats Sandburg 3-1 for the 96 title. Along with Ed Vasinick, I'm Brian Davis. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you later. The proceeding has been an exclusive presentation of Sports Channel.